The recording will be posted in the Career Services Canvas page, as well as on the Career Connection resource page. Depending on your comfort level during our time together, you are welcome to either keep your camera on or to turn your camera off, however you feel comfortable. But I do ask that you mute your microphone. Towards the end of the presentation, we will have questions and answers. And during that time, you're welcome to unmute yourself, or you can drop your questions in the chat. We will be checking the chat box. So if you have any questions as we go along, just drop them in the chat and we'll address those. All right, so for today's presentation, we are going to talk about some definitions with experiential education, the purpose of internships, the criteria for unpaid internships, as well as you're going to get a lot of good tips and information from our special guests on how to get ready for your internship opportunities. So let's just go ahead and dive in. So what is experiential learning? Well, simply put, experiential learning is learning by doing or learning while working. The key thing, though, with experiential learning is seeing how classroom theory applies in the workplace setting. It's like bridging what you learn in the classroom to the learning that takes place within the work environment. With experiential learning, you are testing your skills in a certain field or interest area, okay? And it can help you to solidify your career pathway. It may feed your interests that you have thought about, or you may come to the realization that what you thought you wanted to do is not exactly what you want to do at all. Experiential learning is actively engaging and probing questions. You're being curious, you're investigating, you're being creative. Either way, you're able to document your experiences and learn from those experiences. After you complete an experiential learning, you would have gained a better understanding of yourself. You would know how you solve problems and how you build your networks. As the name applies, experiential learning encourages hands-on learning, learning not only about yourself, but learning about others, and there's a lot of reflection. So when we talk about an internship, what are we talking about? And this definition that you see is the definition from NACE, which is the National Association of Colleges and Employers, who defines an internship as a form of experiential learning that integrates knowledge and theory learned in the classroom with practical application and skill development in a professional setting. Internships give students the opportunity to gain valuable applied experience and make connections in professional fields that they are considering for career paths, and give employers the opportunity to guide and evaluate talent. With an internship, you are given that opportunity to gain applied experiences, and those experiences can be in person, they can be hybrid, they can be remote. Typically, in an internship, you are working with a professional alongside with a professional in a certain career field. You're more than likely, you'll complete a project of some sort. You may attend public events that the host employer may have going on. You may observe or either conduct an informational interview with other employees. Internships can develop your marketability for future opportunities and may be converted into a full or part-time position, but that's no guarantee, okay? Even if it doesn't lead to a permanent position, you still win. Why? Because you would have upped your skills, you would have built networks and your contacts, you would have put your theory to practice, and it affects how the shaping of your future. All right, so there are two types of internships. Either it's going to be paid or it's going to be unpaid. And let me say this, before committing to an internship, take a moment to consider your needs. As a matter of fact, write these questions down that I'm about to ask. Ask yourself these questions. What am I looking to do? Do I have time within my schedule for an internship? What value will the internship have on me? Okay, those are just some questions to get you started and thinking about, are you ready to be committed to an internship opportunity? In the chat, drop some other questions that you would ask yourself before committing to an internship. Now, in career services, we do push, and we also post in Career Connection, paid internship opportunities. But it is a possibility that you'll come across an unpaid opportunity, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It could end up that an unpaid internship opportunity will bring you more value. And let me tell you a little story. Recently, I conducted an informational interview with a previous Nova Nighthawk. That person will be featured in our October Career Connection newsletter. And so he mentioned that he did both a paid internship opportunity as well as an unpaid internship opportunity. Now, he did say that during the time when he completed the unpaid opportunity, there was all kind of craziness going on in his life. And he thought to himself, this is crazy. I need to be getting paid for what I'm doing. But long story short, he said that internship opportunity ended up being the most valuable internship he did over the one that was paid. Why? Because in every interview that he went to following that internship, he was asked specifically about that unpaid internship. So I say that to say, it's up to you whether you accept a paid internship or an unpaid internship. That's a decision that you're going to have to make. Now, the Department of Labor, they have set out some guidelines or criteria for an unpaid internship, and it's on Fact Sheet 71. Fact Sheet 71. You may want to Google it in detail, but here's some highlighted guidelines from Fact Sheet 71, and this is updated as of 2018. So with an unpaid internship, it's a clear understanding from the intern as well as the employer that it is unpaid. So there's no guessing, there's no wondering if you're going to get paid. No, it's clearly stated that it's unpaid. An unpaid internship also ties into the intern's educational goals. All right. An unpaid internship doesn't displace a regular employee. Rather, that intern works under current staff. Okay. And also, an unpaid internship, it has to be completed within the intern's academic school year or the school calendar. Okay. Here's my disclaimer. If we have any international students on the call with us today, let me tell you, before you do an internship, please, please, please contact the International Education Office or your international advisor so that they can go over with you certain criteria and guidelines for international students, as well as the CPT and the OPT training guidelines. Okay, so let's take a pause for a second. In the chat, I want you to answer the question, have you had an internship? Drop a Y for yes and an N for no if you've had an internship. Okay, I'm going to check the chat. I'll give you a second to do that. We're just answering the question, have you had an internship? Yes or no? Let's just get a pulse of the room. Okay, so it looks like from the ones that responded, no, you have not had an internship. So good. You're at a good starting point. And so as we move forward in our presentation today, take good notes because now we're about to hear from Zoe, who is going to give us some information on what we need to do to get ready for our internships. Zoe, like I said before in the introduction, is the People Engagement Manager with Goodwin Living. Zoe, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to stop sharing. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Latoya. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm really happy to be here with you all today, share some tips of things that I've learned managing our internship program and as a former intern myself when I first got started. So I'm going to start off by sharing a little bit about Goodwin Living. So like Latoya said, my name is Zoe and I'm our People Engagement Manager. And that's a really, really vague term. That means a lot of things. So I engage with a lot of different people who we work with. That could be our employees, that could be our interns, that can be our residents, that can be the outside community like you all at a university or high school. So Goodwin Living is a faith-based, not-for-profit healthcare and senior living organization in the Northern Virginia area. So we have 3 in-person communities that serve older adults. And one of them is just across the street from the Alexandria Nova campus. The other one is about a mile away, and the other is across the street the other direction. So our mission is to honor, uplift, and support the lives of older adults. So we are a 55 and older community and those who serve them. And that's something really unique that I always point out to anyone who's interested to intern with us. When you're looking at employers, one thing to look at is how much do they really care about their team and not just whoever their customer is. So our team is written into our mission. It's something that's really integral to who we are. So we try to be a provider of choice for those older adults who are looking for care and looking for residents as they age. We try to be an employer of choice for those who love older adults and want to come and work with us. We were voted one of the top workplaces in the region for the last 6 years and a top employer of interns with the state for the last 2 years. So we're really proud of all the work we've done to take care of our team and attract talent. It's also really important for us to be a contributor to social good. And so that looks like getting involved in local high schools and colleges, helping with Meals on Wheels, so different ways that we can get active and help with social good in the community. We have a really diverse workforce, so our team members come from over 55 countries, and 1 in 4 of our employees is not yet a US citizen. And that's something that I'll touch on in a little bit. So our team members work in dozens of departments. You might think, oh, this is healthcare. Everyone there is a nurse. So nurses are super important to everything that we do. We really, really promote young people who are thinking about their career to go into healthcare. It's going to be a growing field, especially over the next 30 years. But they also do other things from marketing and sales, our dining department, our IT, our finance, as well as administration and business work. So there's a lot that it takes to run in-person communities, as well as our home and community-based services that go to people's homes. So earlier I had mentioned about citizenship. So we have some really great benefits. One of them is tuition assistance to help you pay to continue to go to school. But we also provide assistance with those who are pursuing citizenship, who are renewing their green cards. And that is to help not only our employees, but also their family members. So we're really lucky to have a lot of support that we can give to our team. So now let's dive into it. So you're all here today because you're thinking about, how do I get my first internship? I saw for a lot of you, you said you hadn't had one yet. So you're in the right place to learn with us today. So the students that we're looking for at Goodwin Living are people who are showing a positive attitude about new things. So we know that this might be your first time in an internship. It might be your first time in a job. But showing that positive attitude that you're excited about learning, you're excited about working well with the team, you want to ask questions, and you want to feel connected to the organization are all important things. Those are things you can show in a couple of different places. So the first thing is on your resume. You turn your resume in when you apply. It's the first time that they get to meet you. Another is in your interviews. So they'll be able to ask you a lot of questions where you get to share about yourself personally. And the other, I cannot stress enough, is your email communications. They're going to email with you to set up an interview or a phone screening. Every single time you email back, that's just one moment in time that they're getting to know you. So make sure that you're being friendly and professional, and having a hello and a goodbye and a thank you, and just making sure you have a more formal email when you're emailing with someone in reference to an internship or a job. So getting into resumes. One thing that's super important when you don't yet know kind of what job you want to have, or you might not have a lot of experience yet, is to customize that summary or description up at the top. So a lot of people will have 1 to 2 sentences. It might say something like, I have 4 years of experience in retail or food service, and I'm looking to expand my skills. So while you might think to mention something you're doing currently, the ones that stand out to me are the ones who tell me what they want to do in the future. So telling me if you're looking for an IT experience, if you're looking for a finance experience, what you're taking your classes in, because that helps me imagine you in our workplace. So while you might have gained really great skills in jobs you've had so far, if they don't relate directly to the one you're applying for, it's always good to customize your summary so they know what job are you looking for in the future, where are you looking to grow into. Another reminder is just always to make sure you're using an appropriate email. Using your school one is great. If you have a personal, just make sure that your email for contact is appropriate and that it's one you're checking often. I have sometimes emailed someone for an interview and I don't hear back for over a month because they must not be checking that email regularly. So it's really, really important that you're checking the email you're putting down, because that's the only way that they're going to be able to reach out to you if they would like to schedule an interview. The last thing is spell check and reviewing your resume for understanding. So utilize your career services. That's what they're here for. They can look over your resume with you. Because it's your first time meeting the company through your resume, it's so important that it looks professional, that you've made sure all your spelling and grammar is correct, that you've thought through all of the different points that you've put on there. So really using your career service department to support you. Also asking a teacher or a friend to review is always helpful too. So some interview types. So what we start with at Goodwin Living is a phone screening. So there'll typically be more than one round. And that first round for us is over the phone. So this will be 15 or 20 minutes where we just get to know you. So we want to know, what are you interested in? What are you learning? Why did you apply for our internship? And this will help us envision if you might be a good fit for the role. For us, our second interview is usually virtual. So we'll ask you to have your camera on, and you will have a second interview with the hiring manager. So that's the person who would be your supervisor in the role. So it's really important to know that there might be more than one round to get to know you, and this is often standard for companies. If you get to a second or a third round, that's a great thing. It means they're really enjoying getting to know you. Some other types of interviews can be group or panel interviews. This could be multiple people from the company interviewing you at once. This also could be that there are multiple people applying for the role who are on the call. In addition to this, I'm going to talk a little bit about behavioral interviews, as these are a really great way to share about yourself. First, I'm going to go over the phone screening. So if any of you were to apply for an internship with us, we would do a phone screening. So the things that I look for is someone who has researched the company. So make sure and take the time to look at, where are they located? Is it somewhere that you're able to get to, whether it's in a car or public transportation? Sometimes interns will go ahead and apply, and then they realize it's too far for them. So it's really, really important before you start getting to know a company that you know you're able to take on that experience if they select you for it. Another thing is to look at their mission. Are you passionate about their mission? Do you care about the work that they do? When you come in not having a lot of experience, that's a really big thing you can focus on, is how much you care about the work that that company does and that you specifically want to learn and grow with them. Another thing is to be ready for behavioral questions. So brainstorm your examples ahead of time. I'm going to give you a couple example behavioral questions on our next slide and kind of talk through what interviewer might be looking for. And when you're answering these questions, really think outside the box. It doesn't have to be a work experience or an internship experience when you give an example. The third thing is to offer your own ideas and show excitement. I love when an intern tells me what they're learning in school, what they want to learn in the internship, and even offers ideas. So we have something called the Life Enrichment Department, and they do a lot of activities for our residents. So if someone is interviewing for that role and they say to me, I love art, I would love to do a drawing workshop. I love yoga, I would love to show them how to do yoga. So they come with their ideas of things they want to contribute. That always gets me really excited when I'm talking to them. So some examples of behavioral questions. So behavioral questions are an opportunity for them to get to know what you would be like in the workplace. So these are the three that we typically ask for interns at Goodwin Living. The first is to describe a time you had a conflict with a team member or a customer at work and how you successfully worked through the problem. So you might notice the way that this is worded implies you've had previous work experience. And you might be thinking, I don't have any work experience. How can I answer this question? You can always say, you know, I haven't had this problem with a customer, but how about in a club at school? How about in a group project at school? How about helping a family member navigate services or appointments, something like that? The second one says to describe a time you showed your leadership skills. Again, this can be in any way. This may be that you help out at your place of worship. Perhaps you help to lead events at your temple or your church. This could be helping with family. Perhaps you have a family member that you assist with translating to go to appointments. So these are all ways that you can show your leadership skills. So really think outside of the box about things that you've done in your life that show leadership. The last one we typically ask is to describe your organization's style and how you prioritize multiple commitments. So we're always learning and growing when it comes to organization, but it's really important to know that our interns are able to keep organized because we know they have school. We know that if we choose them, they're going to have our internship. They have other obligations with their families. They might have a job outside of this. So be able to describe how do you stay organized? What is your style when it comes to having lots of appointments, tests, jobs, things like that. So we like to know that you'll be able to handle all of those different commitments you're taking on. So I want to invite you guys to write in the chat, what is a time that you showed your leadership skills? So if you could write 1 to 2 sentences giving an example. So these are just some tips as you all are writing in the chat. So they're looking to get to know you. So it's a time to really brag about yourself and show your strengths. This is something we might feel shy or timid about, especially if it's your first internship or first job, but they really want to get to know you. So don't hesitate, don't hold back, definitely be able to share with them about these questions. The next is to give examples. So when you all are writing in the chat right now, give a specific example of how you showed your leadership skills. We want to see how you did it, not just know that you did it. So letting them know who was there, what were you doing, what were the goals, what kind of barriers did you face, what challenges did you face, and how were you still successful at the end of it. It's also really helpful to understand what you learned. So when someone asks a behavioral question, they want to see that you're learning and you're growing. So being able to identify the things you learned and how you grew in each experience is really helpful for the interviewer. So you guys can go ahead, just keep putting in some examples into the chat. So after the interview, so you've gone through your phone screening, you've done your interview with the supervisor, what next? Always, always write that thank you email. I will say maybe 1 out of every 6 interns does that. So it really, really makes you stand out. If you take the 5 minutes it takes to find their email, thank them for their time, point out something that you found interesting during the conversation or something that you learned during the conversation. And always remember to express your interest if you're still interested in that position. Sometimes I'll get off a call with an intern and I'm not sure, did they really like what we talked about or not? So it helps me keep them in mind if I know they're still really interested and really excited after the conversation we had. And then just a note, a lot of recruiters, a lot of interviewers, they're filling multiple positions at a time. So it might take a while before you hear back for them. So typically I would say to wait 2 weeks before you follow up on your interview and ask them for an update. But that thank you email you can send out the same day or the next day from your interview. So last thing I wanted to touch on was LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is social media for your professional life. So that's your online presence for you as a professional. It's a way that other professionals can see what you've done, jobs you've had, opportunities you're looking for. It's a great place to look for jobs as well. And you can even use your profile to apply directly. So on LinkedIn, people can endorse your skills. So classmates, friends, coworkers, you can get them to go on there and say, Mark has great teamwork skills. This is what we did together at this job. I endorse him for this skill. You can also connect with your fellow friends, your current coworkers, your supervisors, as well as people you don't know yet. So if there is a specific company you're really interested in and you want to try and connect with someone and ask them more about it, you can also use LinkedIn for that. It has an opportunity to follow companies and organizations, and that way you get updates when they're posting new jobs or if they have any articles or research or things like that, so you can keep up to date with the companies you're interested in. It's really important to always have a professional headshot for LinkedIn. So if you get together with some friends, make sure you're dressed in business clothes, have a plain background and good lighting, you can take a headshot for your LinkedIn. And then lastly, make sure your job descriptions on LinkedIn always look the same as your resumes. Whenever you apply for a job, an employer likely will take a look at your LinkedIn and your resume. So you want to make sure that they are the same as each other and have the same descriptions. So I am going to go ahead and pass this over to Karen. I'm really excited that she's able to join us today. She is a current Nova student. She was an intern with us in the spring for our human resources department. And we loved her so much that we were able to hire her on. So she now works with us as a temp on a special project. So Karen's going to share a little bit about her journey and the things that she did that ultimately got her hired. So I want to welcome Karen.
Thank you so much, Zoe, and it's so nice to be here just to give it a little bit insight of what I've been able to do and what I've accomplished. So currently I am in my last year at Nova. I'm going to transfer to George Mason University after the spring semester, which is going to be very exciting. So before going to Goodwin Living, I've worked on numerous retail and restaurant jobs. I also had to chance to work in the county that I currently live in, so Arlington County, specifically in their extended day program, helping with kids, socializing, learning new activities, learning other new ways to learn, stuff like that. And currently I am at Goodwin Living. As Zoe said, I am a temporary in the HR department. And before that, I was an intern in the same department. And Goodwin Living is actually my first internship, which I will say I got pretty lucky in, just being able to stick and stay with my first internship, all being that Goodwin Living is just an amazing company to work with. And with the next slide, what did I do to get hired? Overall, I would go it down to two main things: working with a team. With Goodwin Living, it was my first time working with a pretty big team. I had a lot of mentors and supervisors who had years of experience ahead of them. And it was really, I would say, it was really nerve-wracking. I would say nerve-wracking just because, I'm coming in for the first time, again, as my first internship, I'm trying to gain some experience and working alongside others who have a lot of experience ahead, of their careers. So one of the first things I did for myself and for my experience is definitely improve on my communications. Um, Honestly, one of the best things you could do, especially working with a team, you need to understand what each person wants to do, what what they want to do, what they're gonna do, what you should do. Excuse me, sorry. And how everyone's gonna put their part in order to make it work, make it look good. I will also say that, I have learned and have become more comfortable in the role. I've gained confidence in myself and my own skills as I said before that, you know, I was working with other people and my team members who really they already knew what they were doing and, coming in fully on a blank slate. I wasn't really sure what my role truly was, and it really goes down to trial and error, um, making mistakes, sometimes I have to learn other things that other people have already known ahead of time. But overall, with time and the more you grow a connection with your team, it really helps and you feel more of a belonging and part of the actual team. And I've also learned the other different roles and jobs that make up the HR department at Goodwin. I've sat down with a lot of my team members and I've asked them, what was it that, made you part or want to be part of this position? What made you want to be a part of the HR department, HR in general? And you really get to hear and just see throughout their whole journey through college, other experiences, internships, paid and unpaid, and how they got there. And honestly, everyone has their own different journey, but it's still, similar in a way. No one really goes through saying, okay, I'm going to stick through this one job or this field and then go, they're going to accomplish that. Things are going to change. You'll be able to learn new things, adapt to new things, and you can change your mind. It's completely okay. And on my own, honestly, with the works and with the work and the projects I've done, I've definitely been able to manage my own time and the organization I need in order to keep myself on track, not to get too carried away on one single thing, and to be able to meet the deadlines. It was definitely a huge responsibility, especially this early into my career, but it was definitely needed, especially in the work environment I am in. I've also definitely improved my skills on Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and other databases. I came into Goodwin with sorry, my cat. I definitely came onto Goodwin with just the basic level of Excel, Word, and PowerPoint that I've learned from school and from college and high school. But they've applied that a lot throughout the other different projects I've worked on, just the documents, handling, filing, and stuff like that. So I definitely enjoyed learning new things because there's a lot that's in those applications that I didn't think was possible. So it's a whole new other world with that. Also being able to teach my other team members what I know or have learned. It's definitely a two-way thing working with a team, no matter the experience they have ahead of themselves, because especially with new databases, we've been able to learn. I've been able, for example, to catch on to them more quickly. I've been able to work with them, with the time I have. And with that, I've been able to hop on meetings and teach my other team members how to use them, what's the easier way, what can we improve on to make the process easier. And yeah, definitely the top three things I would say, or to take away from my internship, is confidence. You don't have to come into the internship with that confidence, definitely recommended, but that's something you'll definitely grow into. as you continue on with your internship, whether you are working on your own or working with others. It's definitely something that is very important because you understand your own self-worth and you just gain more insight and confidence on learning new things and building on top of that. Communication is definitely one of the main things I put a lot of emphasis on, especially for me. I'm typically someone who stays very quiet, introvert type person. And I actually had a lot of my team members tell me, you have to talk more, you have to ask questions, always communicate what you want, what you need, what you recommend, because you might catch on to something that someone else hasn't been able to, or everyone else hasn't been able to, and that could be a key thing onto improving a process or a project. And also learning and sharing sharing skills. Definitely, and especially in the start of our careers or starting an internship, even applying it onto college or your current jobs, never stop learning and always try and build on or improve certain skills that you either enjoy or would like to improve on, because overall, once you start in one direction, it can flourish into other different directions and skills as well. And on to things that I wish someone had told me. Definitely a few things. When applying or considering an internship, definitely it's okay to start off with little to no experience of, prior internships, stuff like that. Honestly, it's okay, especially, as I said before, I've worked in other numerous jobs, and with those jobs, I am able to apply the skills I've learned from them, retail, restaurant, working with kids, and I am able to, sorry. Oop, there we go. And I am able to apply them onto my current job or an internship. Also, I will say that despite, little to no experience, once you do get that internship or the job, your performance and hard work definitely speaks as much, if not more, than the experience. Not only does your team and your department or wherever your internship may be, not only will they get to know you more, they'll see your work ethic and how hard you really drive to improve not only yourself, but the environment and the work environment as well that you are in. I would definitely say that that is also something that has helped me a lot, especially being hired from an intern onto a HR temp. My team definitely saw how hard and how willing I was to not only learn the environment and how the company works with each other, excuse me, but definitely how much I really wanted to help, how much I really wanted to do my best onto the presentations and other projects I wanted to do as well. An internship is still a learning experience. At the end of the day, it really is. It's a learning experience not only for yourself, but for your employers and team members. Mistakes are bound to happen, but that is generally how we learn. I've had multiple experiences in my internships where, for example, let me think of one. Oh yeah, so we were trying to sort down these files, and because I didn't want to, I I didn't want to ask, let's say, which document was supposed to go where. I completely labeled this whole group of documents into a completely different section. So once I did ask later down the line, I ended up finding out that what I was doing was completely wrong, and I had to go back one by one and manually change all of them, which honestly, mistakes happen, but it ties on to how, again, communication is definitely needed. If you ever feel unsure, no matter what question, no matter what degree of the question is, whether you think it's very important or not, no matter how silly it is or not, definitely just try and ask ahead of time, or whenever you feel unsure about yourself or the work you're doing, because you're probably gonna have to do what I did and just have to go manually one by one, changing every single thing, and that's how you learn. Always, yeah, always ask questions, advocate for your learning. Even in general, just communication, like build a strong relationship with your team members, because they can definitely, if you ask after the internship, you can definitely have them as a reference, and that will definitely help you a lot more once you start applying onto other internships or other jobs and things like that, because you grew not only a good coworker relationship, but work relationship as well. And honestly, it's really nice. You get to know a lot of new people, you get to learn about their backgrounds and stuff like that, and you learn different other skills as well. So on to tips for getting an internship, finding an internship. Definitely, I would say my top two would be LinkedIn and Nova's Career Connection, to look out for other internships. For Nova's Career Connection, it's a bit hidden, but I've managed to find it. It's actually on the school's website. So once you go on the homepage, you can drop down to where Student Resources is, click Career Services on the right, and then on the left, or on, yeah, and then you'll be able to see Career Connection right under Career Services. Funny enough, Career Connection is actually where I found Goodwin Living once they were doing their internships. I was able to find back then their winter internship, but I wasn't able to join on that one because I was going to be overseas for the holidays. But once I saw that their spring internship was still accepting applications, I managed to send mine in. And overall, once I came back from my vacation, I saw that I was accepted and had to go through the interview process. So it was really nice. Career Connection, I would say, especially for school, it's really helpful because you get to put in, your resume on there. You get to customize exactly, like, what kind of jobs you're looking for, what kind of internships, and what fields you want to go into more. And it also has more information about workshops, online workshops like these, job fairs that Nova tends to host from time to time on other campuses, and other partnerships as well. So very nice. I love having it there, and I love checking out the website back in the past. I would also say starting and updating your resume is definitely very important. If you haven't started it, I would say try and start it now. Again, if you don't have any experience or little to no experience, whether that's in an internship or just workplace in general, adding in any achievements or clubs or other jobs you've done. It can even be volunteer work, working with, your neighbors, or doing like little chores like here and there for the neighborhood or for communities. All of that can definitely be added in there as a substitute. Really, there's so many options than just, cut base, internships, jobs, part-time, full-time, things like that. I would also say updating your LinkedIn, or at least starting a LinkedIn as well. It's honestly the best ways to gain connections. I didn't start fully committing onto my LinkedIn until I started at Nova, around pretty late into my internship. But I saw how within that culture as well, that LinkedIn is very much something that a lot of people recommend. And I've gained already a lot of connections from my other staff, my other team members, and the staff that work there as well. So that's really nice to see. And I will say that I believe prior to applying to Goodwin, I hadn't touched my resume in like maybe a year and a half, 2 years, which was really surprising and shocking. So I really had to like work on that before applying. So that's definitely like a little reminder, take a little check, see if anything's changed, update it as frequently as you can. And also on your own, I would say definitely just try your best to be willing and able to try new things at least once. That's more of my motto, being able to try things more than once, or at least once, because, you know, after that trial, you know, you can see whether it really fits you, whether you like it, whether you want to continue with it or not. And honestly, you know yourself best. So, and you might also see, like, you might be interested, like, hey, like, maybe not this thing specifically, but there's maybe other options similar to it that I might be interested in doing as well. So that's definitely something that I would definitely recommend. I would also say that the field of the internship can benefit and differ from your career goal. Always keep your references in mind. Even if the internship that you get into isn't a part of the field that you want to pursue later on in your career, definitely just always keep trying and just do your best in that internship, because you know, those references, whether they were your employers or your other team members, they can definitely put in a good word for you for your references in future internships and jobs. And also you might learn a new thing as well. For example, again, for the Goodwin Living internship that I did in spring, I believe I had actually applied for a completely different department, but once I had gotten the email back, I was notified that only human resources was left in the department, and if I still wanted to pursue that one, definitely did. In the end, I saw that human resources and UX design, so user experience design, definitely had a lot of similarities to each other, and UX design is what I would like to try to aim for in my career. And overall, after my internship at Goodwin Living Human Resources, specifically the department, I'm honestly considering going into human resources. It's definitely an option that I've genuinely liked. And I know that, you know, human resources definitely gets a bad rep, but definitely Goodwin Living, you know, it's such an amazing work environment, amazing people to be surrounded by. And even the other departments nearby is honestly one of the best and most supportive people as well. They really know how to uplift you. And that's honestly one of the things that I generally also want to recommend. You know, trying new things, you know, obviously you're going to be there for a small period of time or within a long period of time as well. Never stop, like, you know, learning. Generally, sometimes it's okay to go outside your comfort zone and going outside the box. And also with your own skills, if you have the time, obviously we have college, we have schoolwork, we have other jobs, you know, sometimes we have to take care of family as well, our own little pets. And so whenever you can and if you have the time, try and learn and improve on your own skills as well, through, you know, YouTube, Google, other websites. For me right now, I'm like currently improving on like Figma and more on Word and Excel, just so I can gain more insight and just learn while, even if I'm outside of my internship as well. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Karen. So if anyone has any questions, we're going to open it up to questions for you all in just a moment. Before we do, I wanted to talk a little bit about our current internships that we're recruiting for. So if you're interested in talking more about internships at Goodwin Living, we're recruiting for winter break. So that's 12 days over your winter break that you get to come in and join a department. So you just get a little taste of what it's like to be in our organization, what it's like to be at that department. And all of our internships are paid. We also are recruiting for a spring semester. So if you want a longer internship, it lasts for the whole semester long, so about 3.5 months, coming in twice a week for half days. That is open as well. So we're recruiting for both the winter break internship and the spring semester internship. There's a lot of different departments. We have everything from administrative support to business internship, brain health. So if you're someone interested in psychology or neuroscience, we have one as well in marketing and communications. If you're someone interested in social media, blog writing and marketing, as well as life enrichment. So if you're someone who enjoys working with other people, doing activities and events, that's also a great one for you. So please do reach out if you're interested in these opportunities. You can find them by going on goodwinliving.org and clicking on careers. It'll take you to our current opportunities. All the way at the bottom, the very last one, you'll see the internships. You also can reach out to Latoya and she'll be able to share the flyer with you. It is posted on Career Connections as well. So I'm going to open it up. If anyone has questions, feel free to come on mic or to put them in the chat. And then Sarah, I saw you had written a question into the chat. So I'll go ahead and start off with that one. So no, you do not have to have a social media presence. You definitely can apply for jobs and do interviews and secure a position without social media. I would say the farther you get into your career, the more important it becomes to stay connected and look for new opportunities, but it's definitely not something required to get a job. One thing about LinkedIn is that you don't need to put any personal information besides your name. So you don't need to write your address or your email or your phone number, anything like that. It looks just like your resume, but without that section that has your email and your phone number and your address. So that is not something that people are able to see looking on your LinkedIn. And then I saw some hands up.
I think it was Toby. Toby, do you have a question? You can unmute or put it in the chat.
Yes, I wanted to know if you guys had any positions for information technology, like IT positions. I know that you work with companies that work with you to find internships, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it's a great question. Specifically at Goodwin Living, our IT department is pretty small. We do a lot of internal security and then kind of help desk work, helping our residents and our team members when they're having issues with their laptops or the network, things like that. So we occasionally do have a position, but we know a lot of students are really interested in like coding or cloud or things like that that we don't do, that we outsource for a lot of our larger IT projects. So it just depends what you're interested in.
And just to add to that, you may want to check Career Connection and just browse the internships for IT. Not only that, but be sure to follow us on our Instagram and LinkedIn pages, because oftentimes we repost and share IT and different other internship opportunities on that page as well. And I'll share the link here in just a second for our socials.
Perfect. Yeah,
Do
and
you have any
Sarah,
other
one thing
questions?
too, if you're not interested in having a social media presence professionally, you could create a profile that you could keep private, but you can still use it to then look at the resources others are posting, because it is a great place to see resources that the Career Center might be posting or a business you're really interested to work for might be posting. A lot of different companies kind of go there first with that information. So even if you keep your own profile, you know, without a picture on private, something like that, it's still good to have just to navigate LinkedIn. Any other
Awesome. Are there any
questions?
other questions? I had a question for you, Zoe. When speaking about the telephone interview, is it with an actual person for the telephone
With
interview?
me. Yeah, so you would
Okay,
be
okay.
scheduling your phone screening with me. So I do all of our phone screenings for our interns. And then the second round interview, which is a video call, is with your potential supervisor.
Awesome. Okay. And I had a question for Karen too. Listen, y'all, Karen was dropping some nuggets. Both Zoe and Karen did a great job. It's always good hearing directly from an intern, their experiences. And just some things that really stood out to me that she said was that to never stop learning and learn beyond your internship opportunity on your own. You know, take that initiative. Not only that, but Karen, can you clarify for me and for the rest of us, going into your internship opportunity with Goodwin, what was your major? Because I heard you say something about you're considering human services now. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm aiming for my associates and bachelor's in psychology. Hopefully master's in IO psychology. So user experience is kind of what I kind of want to aim for. But definitely from this internship, human resources is definitely also on my list to pursue in a career.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I just like to bring that out because a lot of times students say, I want to go into a certain field. And you had mentioned this, that the field of the internship can benefit you even if it differs from your career goals. So I bring that up to say, everyone, be open to the opportunity. Look at the internship and see what you're learning from the internship opportunities that can be transferred into that career goal. If it's not something specifically you want to do, how can you transfer those learning goals and skills and everything within the internship? How can you transfer that into another internship, into a job opportunity? So be open-minded. Awesome. Do we have any other questions? We have a minute or so. All right, I wanted to share the screen just so that you'll know where to follow us on the socials. Let me get down here. Okay. Can you see that? Okay. Be sure to follow us, Career Services. We're on Instagram and LinkedIn. Help us reach that 600 followers on Instagram. Be sure also to follow Goodwin Living on LinkedIn.
We do have an Instagram as well. Sorry, I must have forgotten to send
Okay.
it over. If you all open up your Instagrams right now and type in @Goodwin Living, you'll find us. We post a lot of content about internships, so you can get to see what interns are doing. We have intern takeover days where they do our Instagram. So it's a really good opportunity just to learn about our community, so you can decide if it's a good fit for you for an internship or a job. So definitely follow us on Instagram. There's a lot of good content there that you can look at if you're considering joining us.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And one other thing I wanted to say to everyone before we leave is that when it comes to your internship opportunities, preparation is key. Plan ahead of time. If you know already that you want to do a spring or even a summer internship opportunity, now is your time to start preparing for those internships. We can see already that employers are already posting 2025 internship opportunities. And so you want to get on the front end of it, put in your information, your application materials, and not wait until the last minute to apply for those opportunities. Okay. And lastly, here's our contact information. If you need to reach out to us, if you have any questions, our information is there. You can reach me in Career Services. Zoe, I hope it was okay. I shared your email. Follow us on the socials. And thank you both, Zoe and Karen, for being my special guests today. We will have another internship workshop. It's the repeat of this one. Who knows? We may have a special guest on October 10th. I believe the time is 1:30. And be sure to follow us on Career Connection for some upcoming workshops for resumes. And I think the LinkedIn workshop is going on right now. And be sure to connect with us in October for our fall career fair in Alexandria. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.